Welcome to the next episode of Lancaster Catholic Campus Ministry podcast. So now for some campus ministry news. In today's news, we want to remind you, if you're an alum of Kairos and a senior, you can participate in the digital fourth day retreat. It's already begun, but it's not too late. So if you're interested, contact Ms. Cebulski or myself via email. There's a great opportunity every Friday at noon. Join us for the Camp Min Zoom Hangout. If you're interested in joining us and you haven't gotten the login information from one of your friends that we're circulating around, send us an email and we'll let you know how you can connect with us and hang out and see your friends. Guys, if you participated in Mondays Are for Men or you heard about Mondays Are for Men and you're not sure what it is, well, it continues. The last 2 Mondays, we've met digitally on Zoom. So if you're interested in joining Mondays for Men Hangout, which typically is at 1:30 on Mondays, send me an email and I will send you the links and information about how you can join us on Mondays Are for Men. And just a reminder, join us each weekday at 9 a.m. for the Camp Min Rosary. Everyone's welcome. Students, alumni, parents, join us as we pray together as a community each and every day of the week. Next up is Miss Cebulski. Let's check out what she's thinking about today.
Hey guys, Ms. Cebulski here. Good to see all of you, kind of. I'm very sad that we will not be going back to school this year. I really was hoping to see all of you again and just talk with you and hang out with you. But you know, I guess that's not the way it's gonna be. So now that I know quarantine's gonna go on even longer, I'm looking at my life and kind of trying to make the most out of it and make the most out of what I have and really take advantage of these opportunities. Like, I'm really taking advantage of sleeping in. That has been wonderful. And I'm really enjoying hanging out with my family and having family dinner and family game night, watching movies with my siblings, you know, taking time to do the things that I've never done before, or never had time to do before, or never really had the opportunity to do. Like going on walks. I love going on walks now. And reading, you know, finishing that Netflix show. Granted, I've already finished it, but that's okay. So I encourage you guys during this time, now that you know quarantine's gonna go on a little longer, take some time to like make a list of things that you haven't been able to do and now's your opportunity. Maybe it's cleaning out your closet. I still need to do that. Or something like that, or reorganizing your room. But find the things that you can take advantage of during this time that normally we're just so busy and don't have time to, but we've been given time, so might as well do it, right? Okay, well, again, I miss all of you guys. I'm praying for all of you guys, and I wish you the best. And please know if you ever need anything, someone to talk to, someone to cry to, someone to yell to, you know, anything, I'm always here for you. Reach out to me, because I love you guys. Okay, see ya.
Now, a chance to hear from our dear chaplain, Father Arena. Take it away, Father Arena.
Hello, Lancaster Catholic community. Father Arena here, wishing you all a very happy Easter and assuring you of all of my prayers. You know, this time of the year is usually one that's filled with great joy, but this year it almost seems like that joy's been taken from us a little bit. But it doesn't have to be the case. It really depends on how we choose to react to it in many ways. You know, I think a good lesson for us to learn is to look back to the gospel. One thing that's very common in a lot of the resurrection accounts is that the people around Jesus who see him risen don't recognize it is Jesus. You know, just yesterday we had the story of Mary Magdalene in the garden, this disciple who loved Jesus with all her heart, mind, soul, and strength, and then upon seeing him didn't recognize it was him. And that's because Jesus was in his glorified body, still a human body like before, but more so now. You know, that's exactly the difference between resuscitation versus resurrection. When Lazarus was raised from the dead, that wasn't the resurrection, that was a resuscitation. He was brought back to the same life he had before. It was resuming that same life that he had lost. The resurrection is not just coming back to life, but an even fuller life, a richer life, a life that was more than what came before. And this is very reflective in how he speaks to Mary Magdalene. He says to her, "Stop holding on to me." He's not saying, "Go away." What he's trying to say is, the way you used to hold on to me, the way you knew me before the resurrection, that's good, but it's not enough now. You need to know me even more, love me even more. This is a spiritual resurrection that he's calling her to not just go back to loving him the way that she did when he was still alive before he died, but to love him like that, but even more now, in an even deeper, richer way, now that he's risen from the dead. Well, for all of us, we might feel like we have this spiritual death going on where we don't have Mass or the sacraments. But when we do have a chance to come back to these things, we shouldn't simply resume what we were doing before. We don't want a spiritual resuscitation, we need a spiritual resurrection. We need to encounter Jesus in the Eucharist and the other sacraments again, but in a way more profound and beautiful than ever before. May this Easter season be a time of great anticipation and joy, not only looking forward to the return of Christ and our own resurrection, but even our return to seeing him and experiencing him at the altar, in the confessional. May it be a season of great hope, knowing that the Lord waits for us, and he has so much more prepared for us than we could ever imagine or hope for. For now, God bless, take care, and know of my prayers.
Thanks, Father. On this week's episode, we have several more teachers and staff members who have sent us video messages just for you. Let's take a look.
Hi, everybody. Happy Easter. Hope you guys had a wonderful day with your families. And I miss everybody. Hope you guys are all doing well. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you all again in person next year when we start classes back together again. But till then, I am thinking of everybody, praying for you all, and I can't wait to see you soon. Take care.
Hello, Catholic High. What's up? Just want to let you guys know I'm thinking about you and missing you, and hope everyone's doing okay. Take care of yourselves, and everybody stay safe.
Hello, everybody. Greetings from the Sharp household. I can't believe that I miss going to work this much, but I sure do. The only thing that keeps me going is a little bit of yard work and the fact that I can still teach my classes, even though it's in a remote fashion. I'm very impressed with the job that everybody is doing as far as the students getting work to me. So you can be proud of yourselves. In that regard, I'm certainly very proud of you. And I just want to say, be smart, be safe, and I miss everybody. All right. Take care.
Hey Crusaders, just wanted to say hi to everybody and tell y'all that I'm missing you a lot. I hope everybody's doing well. Teachers, thank you so much for all your hard work. You guys are keeping us going here. And students, you guys got this. Just everybody finish strong, and we'll all see each other real soon. Special shout out to the girls basketball team, the boys basketball team. We know you would be champions. So thanks for the fun season, and like I said, can't wait to see everybody soon. Happy Easter, God bless.
Now we get to hear from one of our favorite people who bleeds purple and gold better than anyone, Mrs. Hawkley. Take it away, Mrs. Hawkley.
Hey Crusaders. In my time away, I've been thinking about one way I often describe my job as the keeper of stories or the connector of dots, and this time is no different. It's been a privilege to be the keeper of stories about joy that comes from the mission of Lancaster Catholic. So I thought I'd share some of the things that I've heard. In this time, I've been able to share scholarship awards with families and hear families share that, Lancaster Catholic has been the biggest dream their child's had. And what a joy it is to be able to make sure that they know that goal is going to be achieved. I've gotten emails from alumni reflecting back on their time at Lancaster Catholic and the importance of the faith journey that we walked with students on, and how students are now living that on their own. And it has been a tremendous joy in the last week and a half to start our 4th day retreat virtually. You know, there's nothing that we as a community can't accomplish together. So in your free time, take a moment and consider, where's the joy in the mission in your life? Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Mrs. Hawkley. It is great to hear from you. No one brings the Catholic high spirit home better than you, our #1 cheerleader at Lancaster Catholic. In this episode of Campus Ministry Podcast, our special guest will be Father Brian Wayne. Many of you know Father Wayne. He's said masses at school before, filled in for Father Arena. He's been on many kairoses. So we asked him to share some thoughts with us on how he's handling the most recent situation and what it's like to be a priest in these very interesting times. So here we are with my good friend and a friend of Lancaster Catholic, Father Brian Wayne. How are you doing today, Father?
Too blessed to be stressed.
We know it's you when you say too blessed to be stressed. So it's not an imitation, Father Wayne. So yeah. So here you are, our little neighbor over in the city center at historic St. Mary's. For those who might not know Father, Father has been a really wonderful sort of unofficial member of our ministry team for the last few years. He's helped with a bunch of kairoses and other retreats, and filled in for Father Wolf when he was our chaplain, and Father Arena now that he's our chaplain during times when they couldn't be here. And he's just been a wonderful ministerial friend, and just friend to a lot of students. And a lot of your students go to Catholic High from St. Mary's, correct?
That was a good number, yeah.
Yeah. So, our my lovely assistant, Miss Cebulski, her father is your youth director, correct?
That's very correct, yeah.
Yes. So there's a lot of connections here with you. So, Father, I would love to talk about baseball, the basketball finals. I would love to talk about fishing and, I don't know, hot rods and cars. But really, everybody right now seems to be just talking about the thing, the quarantine, the living in our bunkers. So obviously I just want to get your take on, so you're a pastor, you've been a pastor for what, less than a year at St. Mary's. I mean, you were at Millersville before, but in a parish as opposed to a campus ministry setting.
Yeah, so, 10 months.
Yeah, walk us through what it's been like for you, and some of your thoughts on this unique situation.
So it was the weirdest Lent of the 9 that I've gone through as a priest. Lent is usually the busiest time of the entire year because you have penance services every night. You have all sorts of devotionals and all sorts of soup and scripture, and everybody wants to do stuff in Lent, right? Everybody's like, religiosity kicks up into high gear. So having all of that pretty quieted, it slowed down in many ways, but it didn't actually slow down too much, because I ended up learning how to, our church is set up for live streaming. We'd been doing that for years here. So I was learning how to maneuver the cameras and get this live stream live and running, so that every day at 9 a.m. for daily mass, I could get that going. Though I apparently messed up today somehow. So we're all learning that.
You did fine on Easter Sunday morning, so we enjoyed your mass on Easter Sunday.
We brought a professional in for that one.
Okay.
So I have found it fruitful in terms of the quiet. A lot of time for some spiritual reading. I mean, prayer has been very fruitful. It's been weird saying mass kind of by yourself, but knowing that there are people somewhere out there.
Right.
you say the Lord be with you, and you presume someone's saying with your spirit on a 2-minute or 2-second delay or something, but you don't quite know. So you put that time in there and you're just hoping. God provides, I think. But yeah, so it's been, I think God, I mean, we just celebrate the Paschal Triduum, right? The whole idea that with every crucifixion comes the resurrection, that through every process of dying, there's a coming to life, that suffering leads to some source of growth and goodness and joy, we hope. So I entered into the quarantine, 3 weeks ago, with that mentality, like, okay, what can one use this time for? Or what is God inviting me to do right now to experience his intimacy, his joy, his closeness during this time? Like, the God wants to use this for something good. It's not like I got to get through this and then I can get back to something else. It's like, no, I'm going to go through this and be someone different on the other side. And that's what I've tried to, I think, preach in a lot of my messages, was that this isn't just something we just get through. This is a purification process. And if we let it work, it can work some amazing things, I imagine. You imagine, like, what could the church look like on the other side of this? What is the world going to look like on the other side of this?
Well, it's funny because my thing was like, what do you, no one can predict anything. I gave up about a month ago because every time I thought something would go a certain way, it went completely in a way I would never have expected. But like, what do you think, what's the local church you think going to look like? What's the church going to look like? Because this is a universal experience really for the church. Yeah. Give me one or two things where you think is going to reflect a new aspect of our church or a positive change.
So my dream, and I said this a number of weeks ago, my dream is that we would, as a church, rediscover the reality of the domestic church. That I think for so long we've kind of, like, families are raised and, well, let's not pray in the home, let's outsource that, right? So Father's going to take care of our praying for us at Mass on Sundays and stuff. But it's like, no, now you have to gather your family around a table and open the scriptures with them, and you pray Stations of the Cross at home, or it's this reality that, the Catechism says that the domestic church is to be the primary and first place where worship happens. And I think we outsource that so much. And it's this reality that no, worship is going to happen in the home. We're not going to have to leave the home to go find Jesus. It's like, no, we bring Jesus into this family dynamic. And I think this offers such an opportunity to say the domestic church is all we got. And the reality is, like, there's been so many places within church history, right? You think of, like, Japan, where there was no clergy for 250 years. There was no exterior churches. It was only families gathering together and passing the faith on. And when missionaries came back after that 250 years of isolation and they found the church alive, it was inspirational for the entire universal church. Like, no one had any idea that the Japanese church lasted through 3 centuries of persecution and hiddenness. So if it was my dream as to what would the church look like on the other side, I think this is such a beautiful opportunity to renew our understanding of the domestic church and the central role that has to have in every Christian's life.
So it's not an either or, really. It should be a both, because the church community is built on the bricks of the domestic church. So when we strengthen, just what you're saying, like when we strengthen our domestic churches and we come and we sort of place that block in the community church in our parishes, that strengthens the universal church too.
Yeah. Well, I'd say, I don't know who said this. it might be in the Catechism, but it's the fundamental building block of society. And this is in our social justice teaching. The fundamental building block of society is the family, not the individual. That is, families who produce individuals, not individuals who produce families. So fundamentally, it's in the family context that relationship with Christ is taught, that our social obligations are taught and everything like that. So I think, yeah, it's a sense of I think we think that we come to church as a bunch of individuals, and as a whole bunch of individuals that make up the church, but really the fundamental block is the families. And yeah, so it's the families who come to church as a family block, a family unit, and that's what builds up.
Right.
Yes, which is kind of what you were saying, but
right. No, that was what I was hearing from you. Yeah. So
yeah.
When we move past this point in history where we're all kind of forced to be shut up in our own little places, and we're to some extent out mixing around again, and our churches were able to have mass, and parishes go back to some semblance of normalcy. How do you see yourself as a pastor? How are you going to be different as a pastor looking back on this time and then moving forward?
You
thought these were going to be softball questions, huh?
I don't know. How will I be different?
Like I suspect I could guess how you will be different as a person, because I think people of faith are going to come out of this, hopefully, at least to some extent, rooted in more prayer. But how does that reflect in what you do as a pastor, though?
Well, I guess, going off of what I had just talked about, I guess it would be more, I think if families are struggling to be the domestic church, maybe they need someone to at least help them. Hey, this is how you pray with your kids. This is a method of Ignatian prayer. I found myself doing that with the high schoolers last week or 2 weeks ago, virtually leading them through a Ignatian imaginative prayer exercise. Because it's very easy for kids and teens to pray in that way. So maybe it's, what I would be afraid of is that sense of institutionalizing things again and losing that nitty-gritty of faith played out within a home environment. And that we say, okay, well, now that we can come back to church, now we can start making the parish the first and primary place of worship as opposed to the home. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe it's like, hey, remember when we all went through that pandemic?
Pretend like it's a pandemic a couple of times a week in the evening.
I'm thinking now, we do that a couple years ago. I think the 15th anniversary of 9/11 was on a Sunday. And a lot of priests, we talked about the experience of 9/11, and that there was this fundamental change that happened in terms of, let's recognize the gifts of people near us and our loved ones and our shared humanity and our desire for peace in the world. And there was just this kind of renewal of that experience that happened right after 9/11. I think in the same way, we're all going to live with this experience whenever we get out of this, right? In a year and a half or whatever. But we can we're 10 years after, in 2030, my guess is we'll have hey, remember 10 years ago when COVID-19 hit, and how, we're talking about a global ceasefire. How amazing would that be if we actually have peace on this earth? How horrible is this virus? But that if it can cause peace to exist on this planet, that would be amazing. And maybe we can call back that reality again and again and again. Hey, we are the same human beings. Let's not fight each other when there's other things worth fighting.
Right. There's certainly a lot of civic and political arguments that seem to have just evaporated at this point. You know, one final question before we wrap this up is just a quick thought about how maybe our young people in particular could live out the next couple weeks, especially the seniors. Got college seniors and high school seniors who, we met with some of them last night for our digital fourth day retreat, and they're just numb with having had their last couple months of school like stolen from them, and prom. Even though there'll probably be some kind of graduation, it won't be the regular thing. So what would you say to some of your young people about that?
Yeah. I'd say they're great grandparents, maybe 100 years ago. The greatest generation ever.
Right.
Because the greatest generation suffered through 2 world wars and a Great Depression, or some connection of those. I think it's important for them to recognize the historical moment that they're in. Yeah, they're never going to get back some of these things. They're going to play out in other ways, and things will happen in the future. Life's not ending, but it's the sense like they have the capacity or the opportunity. They have an opportunity right now that very few have had since the greatest generation came along, to rise up in the face of a worldwide global crisis that is fundamentally changing the way we live, the economy, everything is being affected by this. And what an opportunity we all get to make this a worthwhile and fruitful endeavor, a source of greater, I guess, peace in the world, and to fight for something more than just ourselves and our own needs, kind of thing. So I would say, I know it stinks. It really does stink to not have your problem, right? I mean, that's a true reality. Like, we acknowledge that feeling, and there's going to be grief over it, and there's no right or wrong way of grieving, right? Some of you are going to cry, and you're like, oh, thank goodness I don't have to ask that girl out, So who knows what? Some of you probably had very elaborate promposals. Just make it different. Do a date, a Zoom date proposal. How about that? But I think it's the reality that this is you will be telling your kids, your grandkids about, you were the COVID class. You were the seniors that this pandemic changed the course of your whole thing. Like, I have kids who are from Millersville who are graduating this year, and they're all student teaching, right? And the whole student teaching has been, flipped around, right? But they will forever be the student teachers who learned how to start virtual teaching like that, right? They will always have this experience of both classroom teaching as well as virtual teaching, and how to adjust on the fly, and they'll forever be changed, hopefully for the better, for their future teaching endeavors through this process. So you have a worldwide crisis / opportunity to step up and to be that great generation of seniors who live for something even greater than their one problem.
Excellent. Well, Father, thank you. It's really good to see you. So thank you. God bless. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Man, God bless you.
Well, that's a wrap for this week's episode. If you have anybody that you would like to see interviewed, or you have something you would like to share with us, or if you have a question, contact myself or Ms. Cebulski, and we'll see if we can make that happen. Until next time, this is Mr. Bammer signing off.